Hey, what is up, guys? It is Slick Muff here, back again with another video, and I just had the immense pleasure of seeing the Joker, and I'm joined by my friend here, David. David, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi guys, how's it going? This is David.
A little bit about you, what you up to, you know, what do you do?
Yeah, so apart from being a DC enthusiast of most things, I am also currently a student at USC. Also, I'm an actor. I have been involved mostly in stage productions, but I also dabble in voice acting as well. And so hopefully I can provide some level of insight and knowledge about the comics that would provide some value and excitement to this podcast.
That they famously said they were not going to be referencing at all. If you remember Todd Phillips, 3-4 months ago maybe, he was like, "Yeah, this is not based on the comics at all. In fact, we didn't even read the comics."
Right.
And then people flipped out, like people like me flipped out, and then he backtracked. He was like, "Well, it is inspired by the comics, but it's its own thing, and it certainly is." And I guess we can talk about that. And like we were talking about it when we left the film, is like, this origin for the Joker compared to the Killing Joke is like miles ahead of the Killing Joke. It really is.
I would say concretely, this one has more substance. If we're going to be comparing just origin stories, take out everything else and say which one would I want to be considered canon, it'd be this one for sure. This is a spoilers, right?
Of course.
Okay, good.
We're gonna do spoilers.
Okay, so for anyone who is listening, stop now if you're not in the joke. We can come back after.
Yep.
But yeah, I would say this origin story with his mother, the dynamic with the Wayne family, how they tie it into Bruce's origin story as Batman. It's some good juicy stuff.
So here's the thing: is like I really leveled my expectations for the film because of what Todd Phillips said, that there was going to be literally no reference to sort of DC lore, the comics, anything like that. But then you watch the film.
Let's keep in mind, like to your point, not just related, but it's not connected to the movies that we have seen thus far.
Right.
So the Justice League, Batman v Superman is not part of that family,
which is certainly true. But then you watch the film, and fucking Bruce Wayne shows up, and you get to see in the final scene, you get to see the Crime Alley scene, and like you pointed out to me the Zorro. I probably wouldn't have noticed that. If you notice over the theater, it says Legend of Zorro, or it didn't say that, but it said the word Zorro.
It should say the Mask of Zorro.
Yeah,
That's historically the title, but it said something of Zorro.
Yeah. So it's like you knew what was happening, and then you see them walk out, and oh my god,
they definitely retconned.
So cool.
If they were to keep it, they retconned the whole Joe Chill though.
Yes.
Storyline. Now it's officially just someone inspired by Joker's actions to shoot the Wayne family during the commotion and the hubbub that is the riots.
Yeah. And I always thought that was an interesting Elseworld thing. I mean, I've read a comic where that is explored, where the Joker actually kills his parents, but this is something entirely, it's almost more profound, this notion that, like, someone inspired by the Joker killed him, and I just thought that was incredible, that whole scene with Crime Alley. And I'll say this, like, there was one portion of this movie where I was like, okay, in the review I'm going to talk about this and totally dump on this aspect of the movie.
Okay.
And then they fix it, and then it's like, wow, I got outplayed. And it was with the girl that he's dating, or thought he was dating.
Oh, the love interest.
Yes. And I remember watching it, and I was like, this is not a believable love story. And I was just like, I don't understand, like, I don't buy that she would be into him and all this shit. And then, of course, it comes out that he was imagining
let's dive into that theme
of
believability, point of view, and for me personally, to your point, lapses in time. I think a part of why you thought it didn't seem like it was a believable love story, you know, just in its form, that relationship between him and, I forgot her name already. Yeah, I don't even think we ever got her name.
I don't know. I don't think we did.
I think that's the reason why.
That's intentional.
I think that's intentional. We never got her name because in real life they only met in passing.
He didn't even meet her.
He met her once in the elevator. I think that was the only thing.
Yep.
But Joker, a part of whatever condition he has mentally, lapses in time happen. Yeah. And I think to that point with the relationship, that's very I think extrapolated and illustrated, right? Where it seems like almost unbelievable that they get together so quickly.
Yeah.
You know, not just is that a mental projection, but what I'm thinking personally is the links to when his mind jumps. For example, when his fight with his mother.
Yeah.
So during that fight, the Joker basically blacks out, and we just cut to the, if you remember, when he finds out that about Thomas Wayne potentially being his father, the letter.
Yeah.
It cuts out, and then out of nowhere he's banging on the door.
Yeah.
And his mother saying, "You give me a heart attack. You might give me a heart attack." That all lends to this whole theme of what is real, what's not, and through the perspective that is being told of the Joker, and how much of it are we seeing, you know?
Yeah, that is fascinating, and I think that there were a number of those moments throughout the film. Like, I remember specifically thinking, when he was going on to the Murray show, it's all convoluted, but it's like, what happened with the mom? It's like, why isn't he there with his mother? He's doing all these other things at the moment. And then it's like, you don't know what's actually real to some extent. Not that there's many fake out scenes there, but there's a few.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, again, limited point of view.
Yeah.
Unreliable narration. That scene basically hits the nail on the head of just saying, hey, audience.
Yep.
What you're viewing is not linear, because the Joker imagines himself in the beginning. What you're referencing, if for those who might be a little confused on what point of the story, because he goes to the Murray show physically later, but in the beginning it's when he's viewing it with his mother, and I think the first 10 minutes of
very early
the movie, and that sets a theme. That it's very compound, and Todd Phillips, kind of brings it in a little bit later as, he kind of tiptoes this line of reality versus mental projection.
Definitely. And I would say, also comparing to The Killing Joke, I think that you empathize with this character a lot more, because, and also it's the question, they build up this sort of mental disability, where he laughs in uncomfortable situations and perhaps maybe has some deficiencies intellectually. It's not exactly clear. It's certainly a possibility.
I'm curious to what your listeners think. What, not to play a game of let's throw a dart and see what condition has, but what's the cause of his mental condition, or what caused him to be, or what led to his insanity? Because personally, what really struck me was his behavior with whenever he had a manic stage, he banged his head. And after I watched the movie, I said, what happens when you have head injury to the front of your head?
Yeah.
Behaviors. Behavior.
Frontal lobe,
Exactly. And that's only strengthened further by the truth that comes out about his abuse as a child. Guess where he was hit? On the head.
Did they say that?
They said with the fact, when he was a kid, the way they abused him was he kept getting hit in the head.
Yeah. That's what I thought was the most interesting, is okay, let's look at the Joker in The Killing Joke and how that happens. He has a wife, and basically they have marital problems and the problem with their kid, blah, blah, blah. And then he has this debunked crime heist, and then he falls in the vat of acid, and then it's a culmination of things. I'm obviously doing the abbreviated version of it.
No, but your abbreviated version's pretty much what happens. Let's be real here. The Joker movie is way more in depth when it comes to his escalation to insanity. I get your point, though. When it comes to The Killing Joke, it's more of a guy who's normal in a way.
Yeah,
he has normal motivations. He's married. He has a wife. He has someone that he cares about. Of course, Arthur Fleck does as well. But this guy's leading he's a normal comedian.
Yeah.
Whereas Arthur Fleck, as we later learn on, has a history of abuse. He's been to the mental hospitals. Whereas the one from The Killing Joke,
it was just switch. Yeah, it's not as convincing.
It was one traumatic experience as an adult that just boom.
Yeah.
Whereas Arthur Fleck, it was one bad thing after another bad thing after another bad thing.
And then I wonder too, he has that moment where he says, "I've never been happy a second in my life." It's almost like he is projecting upon his past life, because I think if you would ask the 8-year-old version of him, have you ever had a happy moment of your life, he would say yes. It seems that much of his childhood might actually have been happy despite the trauma. And I think going back to the victim, they did a good job of clearly delineating this character as a victim, but still not necessarily being on board with what he's doing at the end of the film. But I think that him...
Let's separate this now.
Sure.
When it comes to the character of Joker in this movie, and us labeling him as a character, protagonist, antagonist, etc., he's definitely not, I would say, personally, an anti-hero.
Definitely not.
Of any sense. He is a villain.
Yeah.
He killed people inexcusably, and I think that is very heavy-handedly answered by the director and the writers of the film through the voice, through Robert De Niro's character, where even though I was moved by the Joker, because the performance of Joaquin Phoenix is so profound.
It's so good. Yeah.
But in the end, still, no matter whatever answer the Joker gave, Robert De Niro character said, "Does that excuse killing 3 men?"
Yeah.
I think we all can answer that question pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So this whole I think really unnecessary politics issue. It's this some news reports going on about questions of violence with the movie. I think it is pretty concretely answered within the movie where it stands on violence and that it is bad.
Yeah, definitely. And I just thought, to me, the best moment of this film probably is when that realization comes out regarding the head trauma, because I think in that moment, like in the beginning when he reads the card, he talks about how the card actually says that this could happen because of brain trauma or neurological deficit, something to that effect, right? And like my interpretation of that moment, that realization is like, okay, this was a completely neurotypical child who was beaten in the head in early in his early development, and
that's immediately where he went to.
That's where I went, and it's just like, okay. And the mother they very clearly note in the police report was complicit in that behavior, and so it's like the person that he trusted the most was actually also complicit in that like permanent brain damage that caused all these other problems and ultimately culminated to this point. And it all goes back to, like, even though in the end, like, it's complicated because, like, he is a victim.
Do you know what's complicated? It's because here's what I left the movie with.
Yep.
Regarding Arthur Fleck.
Yep.
He's a survivor. That guy won't go down without a fight.
Yeah.
And remember during one of the closing scenes when he kind of is revived on the police car hood, what I told you regarding the radiator.
Yep.
So specifically when he was abused as a child, he was tied, as the report said, to a radiator. And lo and behold, I would say his birth as Joker finally is atop the radiator of a police car in the middle of a crowd of followers.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of lends to the credence that there is some what's the word? There's a bit of a link between the two. I don't think that was a mistake to place him there. That closing scene with kind of his origins, Yeah. So when it comes to Arthur Fleck and his mother, there's a lot of mental illness and going around there. And that's only led to the next theme of the movie that I would say that is not just, how the poor and the weak are seen and treated, or how they feel as they are perceived. We are really seeing a story of something of abuse from someone from poverty. We usually see the story of Gotham through Bruce Wayne's eyes.
Yeah.
We never really seen
top-down view.
We never really seen it from the bottom up.
Bottom up, yeah.
And that's really kind of where Todd Phillips kind of starts and ends the movie, is kind of on the streets with Arthur Fleck.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And I think that it was interesting because I didn't view the film as being extremely political, but I think that a look into Arthur's world is actually quite realistic of a family that might have been living in abject poverty in New York City in the 80s would be going through, right? Lots of mental illness running in the family.
Not even politics, but when it comes to someone who needs help and can't get it, and what he and that was kind of pounded into the audience when he was seeing the social worker for the last time. Said they don't care about you and they don't even care about me. But
then it's kind of like,
here's the thing.
She wasn't doing anything for him anyway. She wasn't even helping him.
But exactly. And not just that, it leads to this other theme that I think Todd Phillips going around again, is this limited perspective where we're really only seeing the argument from Arthur.
Yeah.
But as we know Thomas Wayne is, and even within this story, he is not someone who is trying to put down the poor. He was someone that was trying to raise charity efforts. And I think that this message of miscommunication between, the other versus the opposing party, is really essential here. And that, again, goes back to the what I believe is the biggest scene is the final monologue in the interview, where he kind of feels like the world's against him. But is the whole world against him? Robert De Niro, again, which I think is the writers kind of speaking to the audience, says, but you are aware that not everyone is awful.
Yeah.
Not everyone can be awful. Not everything, can be bad. Your whole life can't be bad.
But he's like, I beg to differ. like you haven't lived in my shoes, and that's partially what he says. It's like Thomas Wayne hasn't lived in my shoes. Exactly,
and here's what I want to ask you.
Yep.
Do you think Arthur Fleck, when speaking to the Killing Jokes iteration of the Joker, right? It's a bit of a different mentality of who's right. I've been sad my whole life, and I just decided now that it's a comedy.
Yeah.
Or it just takes one bad day.
Yeah.
Right?
Dude, I didn't even think about that.
That's the difference between the Jokers. For this one...
One bad day. It's not...
This Joker wasn't one experience. It was an accumulation of things, and he snapped. And we just saw a video with Todd Phillips kind of speaking on... It's a Vanity Fair video if anyone wants to check it out. It's called Joker Director Breaks Down the Opening Scene, where Todd Phillips basically explains this, right?
Yeah. I think that is honestly the most profound distinction that he managed to make in this film. Is this like
slow burn?
It's a slow burn, and it honestly is like, in a way, throwing a middle finger up to the Killing Joke. In a way, it's almost like the notion of the Killing Joke, of this one bad day thing. It's almost like the film is surreptitiously positing that is a myth. Like, that's not a thing. Like, nobody becomes evil in one day.
Would you say So
I think
so. Would you say Arthur Fleck became evil in one day?
He wouldn't. He did not. The Killing Joke.
I'm saying, did Arthur Fleck become Joker in one day?
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Right?
No. And it's even like they do a great job, because when he kills those 3 people in the train station,
we were shocked.
And he has that scene where he like dances, and it's like, okay, maybe he is becoming the Joker. But then there's about 20 minutes of kind of normalcy that's restored, where it's like, okay, he's hanging out with his mom, and he's not like, you know what
laughing.
I mean? Yeah, like,
that's the one thing I noticed, is that whenever he was with his mom, did you notice this? He never laughed.
Really?
Never
noticed that.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But especially during the hospital scenes, what I thought was very odd was before he realized that his mom abused him, right?
Right.
Someone that he cared about, he thought was dying. It seemed like he was actually serious. He never laughed once. And when you said earlier about the card with the thing, and then we realized the card's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's not real. It was what his mom gave him to just explain why he would laugh. It's not a diagnosed medical condition. That wasn't given to him by the social worker.
Yeah, that's true.
So
it's just the mom trying to have him fit in socially.
But I saw it as, I don't think his laugh is a medical condition. I think he actually thinks it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because in the end, he kind of admits it. He's like, yeah, I'm done admitting that it's not funny. It is funny. And that's, I think, the Joker's realization is, in the end, is the system, and he's trying to place himself as an individual who just will not fit within the normal confines of society, or so he believes.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so he does that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
He finds this displacement as the catalyst for his transition to the Joker.
Yeah.
He keeps trying to become something that he believes that he has to be.
Right.
That's the Joker, though, right? There's this theme of, I think for all across the board, is this theme of absolute thinking.
Yeah.
black and white? Have we ever seen a Joker with nuanced thinking? He's very, his belief set, his value sets are very defined. You know, and same with Arthur Fleck here. You know, even with his conflicting emotions about his mother or his past, you know, he's very dead set in his ways from the beginning. I don't think anything in terms of his value set's changed. What really drives him is family.
Yeah.
I don't think his true motivation ever was to become a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Because he really just cared about trying to find Dad.
Yeah.
Because in his vision, he wasn't visualizing him walking out and telling jokes.
Right.
What did he envision? He envisioned him saying, I wish I had a son like you. I'm proud of you. Of having a father figure. That's all he ever wanted. So when Thomas Wayne punches him in the face...
You got to think that this is a character who literally no one in his life has ever loved him. Legitimately. And the mom, you could argue maybe she did. But even then, look at their relationship. It's a one-sided relationship. It's a caretaker-caregiver. He is caring for her. What does he get in return? It's not really clear what he gets. Like, does he get emotional support from her? Does he get love? No, you don't see any of that. You never see it.
He's fully supporting someone.
Yep.
Whom he was not aware of what did to him.
And then it's like, is she even aware? She's schizophrenic. Like, she's crazy too.
She's not schizophrenic.
Are you sure?
Yes. She's... I remember it.
Bipolar, and then what else?
They said psychotic with delusions and narcissism. That's the two conditions they said.
Okay.
I didn't even see what you just say.
No, you're correct. They never said that. Yeah, it was those two that you just said.
Psychosis
and bipolar, or not bipolar. Excuse me.
And narcissism.
Narcissism.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So that leads to the credo.
You can see that though.
Well, the narcissism leads to the reason why she conjures up this story about Thomas Wayne.
Yes, yeah.
So, like, when I was watching this movie, I, as a Batman fan, but also just objectively watching, people were saying, oh, it makes you sympathize with the Joker. I never thought it was cool or funny when he was touching Bruce's face and making him smile.
Yeah.
That was weird. That was odd. And again, throughout the movie, although we see the worst parts of Gotham, you know, with the people, one thing I kind of was going to make a joke about, that's kind of memey, is every person that Joker comes across in Gotham just happens to be a terrible person. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Like, every scene, again, that's kind of unrealistic.
A little bit.
The one thing about the movie I think is unrealistic is one bad thing after another bad thing after another bad thing. I get it. It can happen. But not every single person in Gotham is going to be a terrible person that's going to beat you up.
Somebody held the door for him at some point. You know, just show that. Just show somebody holding the door. Somebody saying, hi, how's your day?
The midget. Like, the midget was actually really nice to him. And he says so. That's why he spares him. But,
we never saw that.
But he says so. Right. That's why he didn't kill him. He's like, thank you. You were one of them. You were the only ones that was nice to me.
But it's like, it would have been nice to actually see him say something nice to Arthur in the film. You know what I mean? It would add a little bit of balance. But if we did, that wouldn't be consistent with how the story was being told.
We have only, like I told you, there's a lot at the beginning. There's a lot of time. Like, I think, like, lest we forget, this movie's a lot of time jumps. That's not a mistake by Todd Phillips that he does that.
Yeah.
And so it's also skipping the moments where they might be nice to him.
That's fair. And you know, it's weird because usually when a film, I mean, we talked about this when we got out, is like normally a film that has a lot of cuts, a lot of scenes, and lots of time jumps, I find them to be a bit jarring, and it's like you're watching several different movies. It doesn't flow very well. This movie did not have a single down moment. It was incredibly well paced, and it flowed together like one scene, kind of like you said.
Yeah, like right when I left, I told you, I said this felt like, in a way, like Birdman, just one.
You're enraptured in it.
Yeah, one flowing scene. The narrative really was paced well. It honestly felt like it just took over a span of 3 days.
Yeah.
Right? Let's think about it. Can we place a timeline on the events?
I feel like it was a month roughly, but I don't have any concrete evidence for that. It's just like she's
right.
in the hospital for probably a week, I would say, before he kills her. We're talking about the mom.
You're right.
I think he's a clown. He has different jobs. He has the spinner job, and then he also is the hospital job.
I think when I say 3 days, I think I meant as in, it's very, like, the passage of events is very obvious to the audience. And
for sure.
It's very natural. Nothing's left out because the whole time we're with Arthur.
Yeah.
I think that's why. And I think, yeah, that is why. The whole time we're with Arthur. I don't think there's one scene that Arthur's not in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's intentional as well.
Yep.
And that leads to, I think, it flowing so well because it's carried by mastermind Joaquin Phoenix.
He's a baller.
He did an exceptional job.
So good.
And to all those Joker haters who think that all Joker actors have to be weird method actors, you're wrong.
Yeah. He's not a method actor.
He's not a method actor for this role. He was laughing and having a great time with director Todd Phillips on set.
On set, like off camera, as I meant to say.
Yeah, exactly, off camera. So imagine him doing a take where he's shooting Robert De Niro in the forehead, and then walking off and just laughing like it's nothing.
Dude, incredible. All that stuff was so good. And I don't know, just like something about this film, every aspect of the film, it's like a rabbit hole that you can go further down. So like, let's talk about him being on 7 different prescriptions. It questions society, it questions American socioeconomics and politics. It questions all of that, and then it also questions the way we deal with mental health. It's like you're literally drugging him and you're giving him 7 drugs, and he even says like, I'm not taking my drugs anymore, and that's the moment he's going crazy. And there's a lot of reports on
that the moment that he's going crazy?
Who knows? It's like that certainly clearly played a part, because all those antipsychotic drugs, SSRIs, when you get off them in the real world, if you quit them cold turkey, you will have withdrawal effects that can result in violent behavior, suicidal ideations, all that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. So it might have amplified it, and it's like, you know what I mean? What would have happened without the drugs? This is like the question that we always have, and I think that it does question, all the stuff that we have with crazy people and mass shooters and stuff like that. It's
here's my question in terms of prescriptions he was taking. That is a really big point, right? And
7 drugs, dude.
It is somewhat intentionally in the movie brushed aside.
Yeah.
It's not mentioned again on purpose once he's off it until that point to remind the audience that he stopped taking them. And what's the first thing that he does after he reveals that?
Bashes somebody's head in 15 times.
Can we talk about that scene specifically really quickly? In that moment, I was like, I was pissed. That was just pure evil when he murdered that guy, because that was the first scene, I think, personally for me as an audience member, where I thought they're not giving us a bullshit perspective anymore from Arthur's point of view.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean by that?
It's like he's the victim. They didn't, you know what I mean?
No, because usually it's Arthur has an excuse to get angry in a way, because now that
when he's getting beat up on the train, for instance,
that's an excuse.
Exactly.
Let's be real here. Let's not when I say excuse, I don't mean as in excuse in the connotation that he's looking for a reason.
Sure.
It's the reason. He's looking for an excuse. That's the reason.
Yeah.
And the reason for killing the clown friend who gave him the gun is what?
Who knows?
There's no reason. And that's why I'm saying that scene can't be convoluted, and that's why it's shown near the end of the movie to show us, as Todd Phillips was trying to intentionally do, is in the beginning we have a very limited perspective. It's the Joker. All these bad things are happening to him, right? Now we're diving into the territory of, is he evil because bad things happen to him? Or is he just evil?
I'll tell you my interpretation of that scene.
So, yes.
The way that I read that scene was that the scene where he bashes his head in. The clown's head in.
Oh, with the scissors?
Yes.
Okay.
And then he bashes his head into the wall over and over again. My interpretation of that scene was that he was anticipating that this guy was going to fuck him over in some way. He was just waiting for the moment, and he's just anticipating, okay, this guy is going to backstab me like everyone else. He just learned about his mom. he's waiting for it, and he doesn't know exactly how he's going to take advantage of him, but that's, I think in Arthur's mind, that's what it was. And as you said, it's not a justification to kill him, because I don't think he had any ill intent. I think he literally was just coming to him hey, the cops are on me.
You know why I just have to disagree with you there?
Yeah, go.
Is because I think you forgot. There's a little quip thing they mentioned too, but when he's mentioning, what are you doing here? He says a little bit under his breath, after they questioned you, they're questioning me now.
Yeah.
They weren't questioning Arthur anymore. He wasn't a suspect anymore. The implication of him being there and asking that was saying, Arthur, what did you tell him? You're off the hook.
Oh.
That's why I was appalled by his actions. He had really no reason to kill the guy. The guy was just asking him, hey, can you tell me...
as a friend, what's going on with this kid?
That's why he came with liquor and with the midget.
And to make him feel better about his mom dying.
Yeah.
They were trying to be nice to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about it that way. And he's,
it's unbelievable what he did. That's why the guy was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
He's like, midget, why'd you do that?
Right.
It's unacceptable.
Yeah,
and you know why? Because personally, when I see for Arthur Fleck, this iteration of the Joker is he kept mental illness and not, whatever it is that he has.
Yeah.
Regardless, personally as a human, he kept trying to fight, trying to do what he thought he had to be to fit in, and to appease people and make them happy in that world. Okay. Mm-hmm. To be I had to laugh at these jokes.
Yeah.
I had to behave this way, et cetera, et cetera. And this guy couldn't accept it. And the moment he stopped trying to accept it was a moment he just started killing people and becoming truly Joker. Yeah. And where would you say that moment is? Do you think there's a specific defining moment in the movie?
1,000%. It's when he figures out about the mom. When he gets the file and he realizes that the one person that he thought loved him and he trusted and had this great relationship, blah blah blah, everyone else is taking advantage of him and being a dick to him, etc. But that was the one person that he thought was on his side, and then he realized that, and then that's when he goes home, puts on the makeup. I mean, to me, that's clear that was the moment. What do you think?
Yeah, let me think about it. So, what happened right? So,
it could be the head bashing scene too, when he murks that guy, the other clown. But that was like 5 minutes after the scene I'm referencing, so it's tough,
Yeah, no, the issue with what you're saying, I mean, the issue that I'm thinking of that, even though you have a point, is because it's a lie. So that's not what pisses him off. Is that his mom lied to him. What genuinely pissed him off is the realization that his dad isn't his mom. I mean, his mom is the one that was lying to him about her mental illness.
Right.
Not the letter. Right.
Right.
The most important thing was that she was lying to him about the abuse.
Exactly. Correct.
I think that was the moment.
Yep,
there we go.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, are you talking about... No, because you're referencing the letter from... that she wanted to send to Thomas Wayne.
Nope, I was referencing the file. When he goes to the hospital, gets the file.
Excuse
me.
Do we
agree?
Yes. Okay, that's sorry. That's what I thought we were referencing. Okay, got it.
No, that's the moment. I think it's 1,000%.
So that was a pretty funny scene too, right? Ironic, but
how's it funny? What do you mean?
With the interaction, with the dialogue with the clerk, he's like, "I'm just a clerk, man."
Dude, but they even make it funny after he murks the guy, and then the midget tries to escape, and he's locked out, and he can't escape. Like they tried to.
You know what? That was DC's way of doing the Marvel formula, where in the middle of a dramatic scene, there's something funny.
Except it's
way more like someone got shot on the head, and then it's
honestly like trolling the MCU formula in a way, because it's like they would be making quips about them fighting like Ultron or something, but this is like a quip regarding
and guess what? One thing I felt was out of continuity within that place that I noticed in the set was outside of his mailbox there was graffiti of the word troll, which was definitely not in the social lexicon.
Yeah, that's 70s, a bit weird.
The word troll.
Yeah.
So maybe there was a little bit of trolling going on in this movie, a little bit of calling out from the director and Joaquin Phoenix. They're trying to make a statement for sure with this movie.
Yeah.
And that's why it lends to this discussion about politics and not. Regardless, what's going on in this movie, in this story, lends to a discussion of politics in the world of Gotham, mental health, in the world of Arthur Fleck. It's a discussion that if you're talking about the movie,
Yeah.
you're going to have. And I think that's a good thing. I think that a movie that takes risks in the long run is seen as one that is memorable and iconic.
Absolutely.
And I'm thinking of Watchmen right now, right?
Sure.
Watchmen, for all those who think Deadpool is the coolest thing since hot bread, the first thing that came before that was Watchmen when it came to breaking this notion of the typical hero.
Yeah.
And I think now, successfully, Joker has broken this notion of how far can we dip our feet in the dark, murky waters of the DC.
Yeah.
You know? And they did it, and I this whole time we have not discussed once the issues with DC's universe right now. Their film, the film universe with all the confusion going on with actors staying and all. We don't care. This movie's so good. What we're focused on is Joaquin Phoenix's performance.
This film really would have been quite limited if they had tried to get I can't remember what's the name of the actor that was Thomas Wayne in BVS, the guy who plays Negan. You know what I'm talking about? Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah, like if they tried to, you know what I mean? Like if they tried to get him and incorporate it into the DCU.
Was there discussions of that? Were there rumors
I don't
of
think
him
so.
being involved?
I really don't think so. I think from the beginning they knew what this film was going to be, and I'm glad that they went that direction. Yeah, I mean,
look, even though these are Elseworld characters, we're not going to see them.
Correct.
In the continuity. So,
and I don't know if this Joker as we saw him at the end of this film is necessarily what we would want to see as somebody clashing against Batman. Like, I think that for him to get to the stage, because Bruce Wayne's 8 years old at the end of the film,
this Joker
he needs many years until he's to the point.
This Joker is not, I would say, a leader of some revolution like others are. He's not actively trying to thwart Batman. He is, in the end of the movie, I think there could be a sequel. I think he ends up where he wants in the end of the movie. He wants to be in the mental hospital in the end. Remember? He's like, how do I get back in?
That's true. When he's getting the file. And why do you think that is? Like, why does he want to be there?
I'm saying that kind of is good. Why is he want to be there?
Yeah. What's your interpretation of that?
I think Arthur wants to be in there, like the Telltale Batman's Joker does, right?
Yeah.
The Telltale Batman's Joker, really quickly, for those who haven't played the game, meets that Batman in Arkham Asylum. And in the second game, the sequel, I won't give anything away, but essentially, once he's out of the hospital, what does the Joker do? And I think this Joker has the answer, and he wants to go back. He can't handle the world.
That's where he belongs.
I don't think he can handle it. I don't think it's a matter of him fitting in. I don't think he can handle being normal.
Yeah.
Quote unquote normal.
And he can be himself in the asylum. Because everybody there is totally batshit insane.
No, I think he allows himself to be himself in the asylum because he's genuinely a murdering psychopath.
But he even says in the film that all of that is a facade, like him trying to fit in societally. He says at the end of the film, it's like, oh, that was just a cover, and this is who I really am.
Right, and I'm saying him, that whole cover and him trying to fit in.
Yep.
Since it won't work, and he's decided to not do that anymore.
Yeah.
It's not going to work in real life. And I mean, in the streets of Gotham, because he's going to kill people. That's why the best place for him, and I think he realizes that himself.
But then he still kills someone in the asylum at the end of the film. So that's
course.
just how he is. Okay, let's wrap this up. Let's give our final thoughts. Let's do a rating from 1 to 10, and just some final thoughts. So, how would you rate this film from 1 to 10 if you can? Maybe place it relative to other comic book films. That's trickier. 1 to 10 is probably easier.
How about you give me a scale of a low rating one and a high rating one?
Okay, of like a film to pin it to?
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough. I mean, I don't.
Do it.
But here's the thing. I don't know if there has been.
Your listeners need to know some of your bias.
Oh, they already know. Okay, so and they hate it. They don't like that I like BBS. So okay. It's tricky because I don't know if there's ever been a comic book movie that's a 10.
I'll start.
Go.
I say objectively Wonder Woman's an 8.5.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
And then I would say objectively Justice League's a 4.
Yep. Okay.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
So I would give this movie a 9.
A 9.
I'd say it's better than Wonder Woman. I think it's DC's best movie out since Christopher Nolan's trilogy.
I agree.
So, I'd say Dark Knight Rises is a 9.5. This is a little under that, but it's in that realm.
And, like...
I think it's teetering on iconic DC status.
Yeah.
But because of the risks it takes, I and other fans will not raise it to that universal love level. So I'm going to keep it at a 9. I'm going to keep movies that I personally love, like other ones like 9.5 and up. But
yeah,
this movie I think is a good solid 9.
Yeah.
Definitely not below it.
I think that this film is going to be great for DC to look at because, you know, really looking at what has worked for them in the films, when they try to go MCU, it backfires horribly. They tried it with Justice League. They tried it with Suicide Squad to some extent, which did make a lot of money. But, like, think about what has been really successful for DC. 1989 Keaton Batman, the Dark Knight trilogy with Christopher Nolan, where we have this crazy Heath Ledger Joker that's insane, and then we have this R-rated Joker film that's, you know what I mean? Like, I think that DC is going to have a great perspective to really embrace, like, what their brand is, what works with the general public, and that they need to recognize that they can't just copy and paste the MCU formula onto their characters, because it is a different world, it's a different universe.
So how do they go about doing that? Because I agree with you, but this is the same question I think they've been asking themselves the whole time, is where do we find a home for the dark the dark and grittiness of the DC comics? And I'm not sure.
That was Siri.
That was thanks, Siri. and I think this movie gave its answer. I think Elseworlds are a great way for DC to go and take these risks with Joker and with being, you know, there's a lot of shocking moments. Killing your own mom on screen is pretty upsetting.
Crazy.
So, I don't see this being ever linked to the general public movies, and I think that I don't think DC should see the Marvel formula as a bad thing. And when we say the Marvel formula, again, what we mean by that is finding a way to find a balance between the darkness of DC comics that we're familiar with, that have become famous with Batman, but also the lightness of characters that we can objectively all say we like Deadpool, right? Yeah. So, this movie, I think, is good where it is, but when it comes to fitting this into the DCEU, you know, with Robert Pattinson's Batman coming up, it's very important for them to take what this movie does well, but be careful not to inject it into, because I don't not want to see this Joker dealing with Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. I mean, oh boy, what a mismatch! First of all, in terms of power scale. Yep. But second of all, in terms of a theme, these themes are pretty heavy-handed.
And he would need to be, as I said, like Joker for another decade, way more hardened to even be able to match up.
Let's compare this movie again to The Killing Joke as well. Killing Joke, even for the DC animated universe, is pretty out there. It's pretty R-rated. It was a risk. Lends to a lot of discussion, a lot of risks there with that movie, with that flick. But same with this one, you know.
That's what I'm saying. This is what works for the DC brand, and they need to embrace that. This is what really appeals people for whatever reason. So in terms of my rating, I think that I'm gonna actually put it in the 9.5 range. I almost thought about giving it a 10. I will kind of agree for the same reasons. I think that I was really pleased with the fan service that they did provide. I think that the stuff with Thomas Wayne was really good. It's actually quite accurate to how I imagined somebody like Thomas Wayne would be. Kind of a little bit of a douche.
For a movie that took a lot of risks in terms of the themes, he was pretty safe with not doing too much to mess with Bruce Wayne, with the Waynes' continuity. He was actually pretty faithful.
It was.
It's actually much more faithful than I thought.
Yeah. And even the crime alley scene, it's like shot for shot, really. It's so good.
The pearls.
Yeah,
that's when I knew Todd Phillips was paying attention for the comic lovers right there. That's fan service.
That's so good, dude. Incredible.
With the killer Joe Chill, we don't know or not, but the gun when it cocks in front for Martha Wayne breaks the pearls. Yeah. That is straight out of the comic books, if you don't know.
It was so good, and it's like one of those things where we're all so tired of seeing that scene because it's been in the film so many times, but when you see it here, you're not like, oh, not this again. You know what I mean? So I thought that was really, really good. Yeah. I thought that sort of his descent into madness was really well done, and overall I was just like enraptured in this film. There's not any downside, down moments. I thought that it was entertaining throughout. Really captured my interest and attention. There was a lot of these deeper themes that we kind of discussed here. I mean, like as I noted, when he was like taking the 7 pills, I was like, wow, that's profound. It's like this dude is on 7 of these pills and doing everything the doctor says, and he's still totally effed, and it's because his life is not good, and it's like these pills can't make you happy. So anyway, there's all types of stuff that we kind of got into. We could talk for hours more, but I'm gonna wrap this up. And
you wanted to record this, and I said that's a good idea, except I think we're gonna go past the.
I said it was gonna be 15 minutes, and you see where we are. We're in an hour.
Yeah, your arm
45 minutes.
Your arm would be dead.
But 9.5 for me. David, thanks for watching the film with me, man. It was a great time.
Thank you so much for bringing me on.
Absolutely,
it was a pleasure watching with you.
Definitely.
Again, I'm David. Follow me on social media if you like. And my handle is David Shadman.
Absolutely.
And Shadman. I'm sure
I'll have you back on next comic book film.
Yeah, man. Let's definitely speak more Joker, speak more
absolutely
DC stuff.
Joker 2 coming next year.
Oh, jeez.
Thank you guys for watching. Hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, of course, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn the notification bell on to be notified for all future uploads. My name is Slickmoth, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Later.